Now we've gotten to the point where we have to assess your current portfolio. So, continuing the metaphor of your wardrobe from earlier, sometimes we have to assess our wardrobe. And I don't know about you, but my clothes are in a lot of different places. I have some clothes in the bedroom closet, some clothes in the bedroom dresser, some clothes in a coat closet, some clothes in another closet off the office. We have very small closets. So my clothes are kind of spread out. So if I want to assess my wardrobe, I have to bring it all together to really see what's my winter clothing situation? What's my summer clothing situation? So the first step for you in your portfolio allocation is figuring out where are you right now? If you have assets and investments already, we want to take a look at those and see where they're invested. There is a story of a teacher who retired after 30 years just to find out she had been invested in cash in her investment account the whole time. So we want to make sure that we don't have that happen to us, right? So in this section, we're going to look at what you currently have and make sure it's the right fit. And then in the next section, we're going to talk about realigning your current portfolio to what your allocation should be. Okay, so designing a portfolio that fits you means deciding what mix of bonds, stocks, and cash is right for you. And we calculated this in the last section. Please keep this with you. We want you to have this handy. Now, here's the good news if you're a new investor. A new investor, you are someone who is watching this course before you begin investing, and you have $0 invested in anything except for cash, right? You are a 100% cash person. You are starting from ground zero. You get to invest according to your ideal portfolio. So you're going to use ratios and percentages to determine the amount to invest in stocks or bonds. So just like we did at the end of the last section, when you go to your 401k and you're choosing what products to invest in, you're going to allocate according to your recommended portfolio. Of course, if this is too complicated, you could use a target date fund. A target date fund basically does this automatically. It will invest based on what it thinks a 30-year-old, a 40-year-old, a 50-year-old, their allocation should be to stocks and bonds. But maybe you want to work a shorter amount of time or you want to work a longer amount of time. You can either choose a target date fund that has that date that you do want to retire, or you can adjust the percentages yourself. And the reason I encourage you to still be aware of this is that you don't just have retirement accounts. So even though your retirement account might be set up for long-term success, your post-tax brokerage account, we want to make sure that we're looking at that too. We want to make sure that we're also looking at that Roth IRA that you funded in your early 20s. We want to look at all your investments together. But if you're a brand new investor, the easiest thing to do is every time you invest in any kind of account, you just allocate according to your recommended portfolio. So when you make a deposit into your 401k, here's an example. You have $100 to invest in your 401k, and it should be 80% stocks, 10% cash, 10% bonds. Then you would put 80 into that stock fund, 10 into the bond fund, and maybe hold 10 in the money market fund. And then when you go to fund your IRA, you do the same thing. Or when you're going to fund your post-tax brokerage account, you would do the same thing. So that you know in your head that all of those together should be 80, 10, 10. So as a new investor, it's a little easier for you. Okay. Now, if you are lucky enough to already have some assets, this is the fun part. We're going to turn over every rock and we're going to look for them all. So take a moment to just sit down and brainstorm a list of all the investments and all the different places that you have them. I'm a financial planner, and you know what? I found a 401k literally last month with $800 in it from a job I had for 2 years in my 20s that I had no idea existed. You can find things. And when I first really got into financial planning, I was turning over so many rocks and finding little bits here and there. So, it is surprising, you might find that savings bond that your grandparents gave you when you were born that you put in a closet and now you found it. Look for things. Look for 401ks from current and prior employers. Any traditional or Roth IRAs that you might have out there, bonds, savings or money market accounts, brokerage accounts, CDs. We want you to find every asset that you have and bring it together. Now, we use a financial planning tool in order to help us with this because it can get quickly complicated once you start having your investments in different places and in different types of accounts. So a portfolio aggregator tool is something where now once you have this list of all of your accounts, create an online login, make sure you have an online login for each of those accounts, and then you can use this portfolio aggregator software to bring all the accounts together and do this analysis for you because the portfolio software will look at your portfolio as a whole and tell you what percentage you have invested in stocks, bonds, and cash. One that I used to use that's free is called Right Capital. And because it's free, it doesn't have a lot of the other sophisticated functions that our financial planning software has. But it's great for getting out there and getting started. Personal Capital is the financial planning software that we use, and we do offer a way for you to take advantage of that financial planning software as well. So just reach out to us if you'd like to learn more about that. And then I've been really impressed lately with the tools from banks and brokerage houses. So if you have a Vanguard account, if you have a Fidelity account, they often will let you link your accounts to other organizations, institutions, and they will also do this analysis for you because, of course, they want to know how much money you have spread out and about as well. So, and a bank or a brokerage house will have great security than maybe something like Right Capital. So, you could look into some of these tools to help you figure out where do I stand right now? What is my current portfolio allocation? And if you want to get really hands-on and you love Excel, you can also keep all your data private and just use Excel. For the longest time and as I was going through my career, I was checking on my portfolio allocation once a year. And I just needed Excel. I just needed to know once a year broadly. I wasn't going to touch the money for a long time. I just wanted to make sure I was generally staying the course. Excel is also a great tool if you feel comfortable using that, and Google Sheets as well, right? That's our free online version, many of the same capabilities. Okay, so that was a big giant task. So now our goal is to compare, right? So we know our ideal portfolio, but what's our current portfolio? And now take some time to really look at the difference between those two. So here's an example. Maybe this person, their ideal portfolio is 80% stocks and 20% bonds. But when they brought together all of their different investments, they saw, oh my, I only have 50% of my investments in stocks. I need 30% more. So I need to put more money into stocks. And when they look at their bonds, they see, oh, I'm over allocated to bonds. I need 30% less of my money in bonds. So they know they need to make an adjustment to their portfolio. And remember, portfolio allocation is one of the highest indicators of long-term success. Drift happens, right? Things happen in life. Sometimes we set it and forget it and we never check on it. And then our allocation gets way out of whack. And then we don't get the performance we were expecting. So that's why it's really important to check in every so often with your current allocation and see where it's at. So that's the end of this section. So keep this handy because in the next section, we're going to make a plan for taking your current portfolio and reallocating it to your ideal portfolio.